I've got the answer. What's the question, you might ask, if, if you've got the answer? I've got the answer for many questions, many things that, well, maybe we just don't understand. Uh, but I've got the answer to what's going on with the riots. I've got the answer to what's going on in your relationship. I've got the answer to what's going on in your business. There's two primary chemicals that our body releases. There's a lot of chemicals, but I'm going to two primary ones. Dopamine, the feel good, happy hormone, and cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Now, cortisol is created when we are in conflict. We are in conflict. Our body, the amygdala, starts producing the hormone cortisol. Now, cortisol's got some uh, good effects for fight or flight, for survival. It increases the body's blood sugar. It, uh, it starts issuing repair signals to parts of the body that may be injured. It is the natural painkiller that allows you to go through the fight. But it also has one that's hurting us today. And that's as the amygdala starts producing cortisol. The cortisol enters our neocortex, flushes out the dopamine, the happy hormone, actually damages the dopamine receptors in our brain and leaves us in fight or flight mode. It allows us to only see what we need to see to accomplish the task that's right in front of us. Dopamine, on the other hand, dopamine, as our body produces dopamine, all the learning centers in the brain are turned on. The happy hormone puts us in a creative cognitive state. Our decision making, when we are operating in a high dopamine state, allows us to look at all information and sort it out to make the best decision, not the only decision. Now, dopamine and cortisol are oil and water. Dopamine clears out the cortisol and allows us to operate at our optimum level. Cortisol flushes out the dopamine and allows us to survive. The biggest problem is this. Today, we are operating in conflict. Constant conflict. It doesn't matter if it's the race issue. It doesn't matter if it's the Confederate issue versus, the statues. It doesn't matter if it's your wife or husband telling you consistently there's something you need to change. It doesn't matter. Conflict is conflict. The amygdala, there's two of them, and they're little bitty pieces of the brain, only sense the conflict and produce the cortisol. And since we are operating in conflict all the time, we're operating in a cortisol rich environment all the time, we can only make decisions that support the action that we believe will allow us to survive. We can get control of it when we can learn to operate in a high dopamine state of mind. Now, some of the old speakers, the Zig Ziglar, the W. Clement Stones, the Norman Vincent Peales, they didn't understand the science behind it, but they knew that it worked. One of the things Zig always said is positive thinking will not allow you to do anything, but it'll allow you to do what you do better. And that just makes sense because positive thinking will not make me a brain surgeon, right? I can't, oh, yeah, I can do that brain surgery. It won't because I've never had the study, the time I haven't invested myself into doing that. But it will let me be the best coach I can possibly be. It will allow me to overlook the referee's call and focus on my athletes. It will allow me to be functioning at my optimum levels all the time. It's not just about feeling good and feeling happy and being the joker. It's about science. Get your body producing dopamine. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. And you will find yourself operating at the optimum level. If we could get our politicians right now operating in a high dopamine state, we could understand what we need to do to battle this pandemic. If we could get our racial leaders on both or all three or five or seven or however many different races there are in America, if we could get our racial leaders operating in a high dopamine state of mind instead of constant conflict, we could fix these things. But we can't, not, at least not right now, unless we as a nation learn to work on the positive attitude of each and every person in our circle. Now, it's not about making them laugh. It's not just that. While we need our comedians and we need our laughter and we need our YouTube Funny Cats videos, it's about feeling true joy, true happiness. Chuck Inman wrote a book called Chemical Brain Freeze. It's not a big book, but it's loaded with amazing information that will help us get down to understanding. But just go out and put cortisol versus dopamine in a web browser. Just go out and look at what cortisol is doing to the brain. Cortisol and dementia, put it in there. The more conflict we operate in, the less functioning our brain is. You want to operate at the optimum level in your business? You want to operate at the optimum level in your relationships? Do you want to operate in the optimum level in your life? Then you need to learn a few simple steps to get you operating at that optimum level by operating in a high dopamine state of mind. If we could get this message out across the continent, a lot of this stuff would start going away. Dopamine is the vaccine for ignorance. Dopamine is the vaccine for stupidity. Dopamine is the vaccine for divorce and relationship failure. We've got to get out of conflict. Internal conflict, external conflict, it doesn't matter. When we are in conflict, our body is producing cortisol and our brain is shutting down. It's not necessary. Our instincts will help us survive. But our instincts are not going to get us through a pandemic. Our instincts are not going to carry us through the riots and the other craziness that's going on right now. I don't have time to be happy? BS. If you don't figure it out, you're going to be part of the problem. I can help you. I can post these videos all day long. I can give you a hammer, I can't make you a carpenter. It takes practice. If you're willing to sit down and work with me in an individual setting or a group setting, whether it's at your work environment and all of your coworkers or all of your employees, whether it's a church environment, whether it's a community environment, whether it's a family environment, it doesn't matter. We can make a difference when we learn how to operate in a joyful, happy, positive state. But as long as we're in conflict, we're going to keep going down the same road we're going down. I've got the answer. Do you want it? My name is Tim Stewart. They call me Coach Papa. and I do approve this message. God bless. Travel safe. Make this your best day yet. Now, get off the bench and get back